And I think that we will take some questions from the audience, if there is any. I already see someone. I don't know who will facilitate a mic. There is no mic. So.
Testing.
Thank you very much for this conversation and a bit of food for thought as well. I've got 3 questions. One related to a question of values, and I'm missing this in the current debates as well. There was a UNESCO report published last year on AI and gaps in terms of gender equality. And the report has exposed some serious challenges in terms of gender equality on different levels. And I think some questions of biases, inclusivity has been raised here, but I still feel that we're not going deep enough into these challenges. So I wonder what your opinion is and what the solutions could be as well in terms of, both New European Bauhaus, but also in terms of education and culture, what these opportunities and challenges could be addressed as well for that. Another question is, what is the role, or what could be the role of artificial intelligence in achieving the sustainable development goals? Also, there's been quite a bit of research in terms of about 70% of the indicators, sustainable development indicators and targets, could be achieved partially through artificial intelligence systems as well. What is your opinion on that? And last but not least, specific questions on the New European Bauhaus initiative as well. There is a strong drive indeed to create a bit of a triangular synergy between arts, culture, science and technology. And what role specifically does the New European Bauhaus see for the culture sector? What we're seeing now, and I think the experience now is that predominantly the New European Bauhaus is focusing on design and technology and architects as well. But the culture sector and the creative sector is much more than that. And also the culture and creative sector can actually have quite an impactful role in actually reaching to communities and to the broader sector of society. How does the New European Bauhaus cater or will plan to cater for including the culture sector more actively in shaping this? Thank you.
Thank you. So quite 3 questions already. Who wants to start?
Yeah. Okay, I can just start and then maybe Xavier can join in. I just wanted to reflect on your question about gender questions, and I will connect it with also the topic raised was in the keynote speech, that what do we think about the third world or something like that. So, well, at least within the roundtable membership, we had a lot of discussions on that. And what we did in the concept paper, I just really didn't have time to really show everything, but we also tackled those things and very urgent issues we have to deal with as a society. Also the gender questions, also what do you think about inclusive processes, because inclusivity doesn't only means that you do something and you let people in. It also means that you have to go there and reach out for people, which we usually don't really do or tend to forget it. Also, we have a member from India, so she is also an activist on human activist, and she always raises these questions about inequality between people. So, and also we have this issue about migration, political and economical within the EU. So we don't have solutions for that. I mean, we have some ideas of the good solutions, which is actually also an open discussion. It was also in the co-design phase. But I would say just briefly that good factions, and we have to raise more discussions on that. So this is what I can contribute to this, but maybe Xavier can join in.
Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, on inclusion, first, I mean, the biases always come from, not from the technology, but as the first speaker this morning said, well, it's about us. So the problem is the training data, is what you make as choices to implement an AI solution. And of course, nothing is neutral here, and we've got to be very careful. So that's one thing. The second thing is, of course, inclusion is something we have to fight for. It's not a given, and if we believe that just in putting in place online consultations or that kind of things, we get it, I think we're totally wrong. And this is a culture of engagement with everybody, a culture of design for all, that we have to nurture and to work with local authorities and bring at different levels in society. And in this context, there's a major role for the cultural sector and the art, because they are first the mirror of our society that can really put into a kind of subtle debate in society, the questions, the visions of the future, and so they have a fundamental role to play here. They can also be, as I was saying, with the examples of using data visualization in a way which is appealing to people. They can be also provocative and bring some elements here, but they can also reach to those that are the most difficult to reach. The way you engage with people is crucial, and here I think we have a lot of experiences in the cultural sector about how you reach out to different communities that are very difficult to reach. So our problem now is to design the tools that make it easier for these communities to really do what they can bring. So there will be also next month the work program of the Creative Europe program that will be presented, and here the Commission intends to propose, for example, to use residencies as a way to have residencies for artists that are linked to local territorial transformation. And this is something that we want to try out and then to perhaps promote. But all the ideas are welcome, and that's the purpose of the lab that we are setting, that these kind of issues can come, be researched, and lead to some new initiatives and new solutions.
Marco?
Yeah. Maybe two quick answers, right? So one related to the bias, right? Either gender, can be racial, can be age, can be... We have many biases, right? And what happened, like in the last maybe 10, 15 years with the appearance of AI, data science, and so on, we just uncovered biases which were there already, right? So we didn't introduce new ones, right? Mostly not, right? And it's like a mirror, right? Like you said before, right? So we just see things which were maybe a little bit covered before. Yeah? This is the story of biases. And since now we have tools we can measure, right? We can observe, and possibly we can even influence, right? So this is opportunity that we can deal with these biases. And of course, I mean, it's a baseline statement. There's nothing which is unbiased, because whatever is unbiased for somebody, it's biased for somebody else. So this is sad truth, but that's it, right? I mean, just purely statistically, but also socially, right? If you want, in terms of values. So this is so much about biases, right? And the second thing you asked about SDGs, right? Okay, we have these 17 SDG goals, right? These 17 SDG goals are measured by something like 230, 250 indicators, which we see, I mean, we see the world through these indicators. Your statement was, okay, AI can help. Yes, AI can help pretty much with all of them. Why? Because AI is just a tool, it's a helper tool. I mean, it would be in the same way as you would say, well, if I put glasses on, then I see better. Yes, of course. If you use AI, you can maybe optimize things better, you can achieve certain, or you can overcome certain complexities which are otherwise harder to overcome. But of course, there's still this, let's say, political will and many other things where AI cannot do much, really, you know. But yeah, if you use AI, certainly you can help with health and poverty and economy and many, many other things. Yeah, but it's, I would say, so AI of today, it's only a start, right? So AI of maybe in 5 and 10 years from now will be way more holistic AI, and I think will be easier to deal with these SDGs. This is my quick opinion on this.
Christopher, you want to add something?
Yeah. You asked one question about the control of AI technology and so on. I think that was difficult. I'm not sure if, let's say, there could be a direct control, but maybe an elucidation of the society and education of the people. I think that could help a lot. And I mean, we have now founded the CLARE network, which is a European, let's say, CERN for artificial intelligence, and hope that in this initiative things go further, and the topic will be discussed in detail. But to control, not sure how it should be done. Have to think it over.
Any question?
Can I follow up on
yes.
Marco? Yeah, so when we, for example, discuss these SDG goals, I think it's also important to mention that I think the biggest challenge we have now is how to have this holistic mindset, because it's not good to only have like one SDG goal and build a program around that, because then maybe these directions won't meet. And this is what we try to also do in the NAP, that these are only like frameworks talking about inclusivity and sustainability and aesthetics, but obviously they are interconnected. And I think the biggest challenge, at least as I see it for our times, is that we have a very big knowledge. We actually can, every one of us has their own solutions for these problems. I think the problem is that we still don't know how to really share this knowledge effectively, because we do workshops or presentations, but is it enough? I mean, we can put out, like, I don't know, methodology booklets, but who reads them? So it's really about how to involve people who are about, how to say that, like, not in this circle. And my solution is that, of course, go on field and really involve them by actions, because this is how we can learn. But this is one way of learning. So I see it as a great challenge. How can we interconnect these things which are happening? Because these are obviously interconnected with the NAP goals and the Green Deal and so on. So I see it's something we have to search solution for that together. And this is why great to have this kind of discussions.
If I may add something on this, especially on the SDGs, because in the past I was helping and assisting Colombia in revising their digital strategy and their digital government strategy. And one of the strengths of the strategy in order to connect to the SDG was education for all. So the solution in a digitized world was, okay, they provided tablets to every student in Colombia, even in places where there was no electricity, even in places where there was no water and no electricity. So part of it needs to take care as well, and we never should forget about everything else that is connected to the basics before reaching artificial intelligence. I do support the fact that artificial intelligence can accelerate a lot. In Latin America, artificial intelligence is widely now used as well in the justice system in order to accelerate the progression of the justice sector into becoming more efficient, more effective, more fast. But this has consequences in the public sector domain as well that so far were completely underestimated. The fact that if public services, thanks to technology, are becoming much more faster, much more efficient, much more effective, means that more people will have access to those services. So the state will have to provide more services. And the state right now is not prompt to do so. So we have to realize as well the balance that we have in our society in order to make it. The other big issue that you spoke about, gender bias. But what about the big quest of the accessibility to AI solutions in terms of discrimination that might succeed? So this digital divide that on one side might be thanks to AI or thanks to technology, we might have the capacity to bridge other divides, but not the digital one. And so there are further challenges on this that we should take into consideration. Any more questions from the audience? Yes, I see Yuri.
Just a short one that is aiming to Christoph and to Marco. No? Speaking about the European role of AI, I was fascinated with this animated graph showing how China is progressing in last 20 years, but I was more struck by the fact that Europe is almost where America and China is. So I can imagine why Americans are there on the graph, and how I can think of how the China is making, but I have no clue of what is Europe doing so high in this
Very simple
race
answer, right?
of
So I was showing the academic production, right? So the innovations in innovation, Europe is really good, right? No question, it has always been. Now, since I didn't have time really, right, to show all the graphs. So when it comes to the later stages, like investment, VC investments and so on, then Europe dies out. Innovation, yes, right, but not, and academic production, Europe is really good. Yeah, especially the business, all the big tech pretty much is in US, in China. So I had few more graphs actually on that topic where you would see that Europe then unfortunately is not progressing as it has the potential.
Is it Europe doing something to change this?
Well, Horizon Europe is a good trial of it. Each country has now its own AI plan and so on, right? But still we are missing the big tech, right? So, you know, all of you or all of us, right? So we search on Google at the end, right? So we use American social networks. We buy mostly in Amazon or Alibaba or whatever, and so on. This is the trouble, right? So we simply cannot, out of all big tech companies, we have only SAP in Europe. Everything else is like nothing. I mean, we all know this, right? And this is one big trouble, and I think one of the efforts of Horizon Europe also, or these programs which are related, not just Horizon Europe, is also how to motivate European youngsters not to have as their final goal to have success in US, but success in Europe is equally good as well, right? So at least at the moment or in the last couple of years, I think this was the big issue, right? So that the dream of European youngsters is to succeed in US, not to succeed in Europe, right? So these are some painful points, right, which are reality, and I think Commission is well aware of this, right? Not that I can change by myself things, but at least we can observe things, right?
Is it anything that we can predict in the future according to your graph?
Yeah, we can see things, yeah. I mean, there are many more things. I just showed really small tip of the iceberg, right? Certainly in terms of innovation, as you saw, we are doing fine here, so this is good ground. So without this, nothing else would be possible. Now, job market is something which I think it's where we should be careful about. We should be careful about policies as well, not to constrain ourselves too much on one side. But so policies, AI policies, right? So basically, now we talk about 3 acts which are relevant. So AI Act, Digital Service Act, Digital Market Act. These are 3 acts which will determine our future. It's very simple, 3 documents. They will all be like in the range of, I don't know, 100 pages, probably adopted next year, and this will determine the game, right? So how services should be formed, how markets should be regulated, and how AI should be, let's say, balanced, I wouldn't say constrained. And if these 3 acts will be done properly, I think we have good future, right? So these acts are defending Europe on one side and offer opportunities, and at the same time, they maintain European values. Basically, AI Act will be the first legally binding document in the world, right? So, and the rest of the world is watching us in that sense. Right? US, let's say, for sure, and others, China, Korea, and so on. But not China. They wouldn't care too much. They would certainly watch, but probably they wouldn't adopt this style of thinking as we have. So is there a future? Yeah, I think it is. Otherwise, you know, we would just leave and turn off the light, right? But it is, but it's a kind of moving target, and it depends on us as well. Yeah.
We are completely out of our time, but thank you again. A big applause to our speakers, and I believe we resume yeah. I will wait for the artificial intelligence actually to tell us when, but we'll resume just after the break. Thank you so much.